Hi guys, welcome back to episode 3 of SWRUManga's weekly podcast series.
Sorry, wait, I missed my cue.
It's alright. Joining me this week is once again SWRU-chan.
Hello.
And it's me, SWRU-kun.
I'm a bit out of it today. I apologize beforehand. You'll also hear me cough several times, so again, I apologize beforehand.
She is ill. Well, recovering. And we'll talk about that later, I suppose, but I mean, not much of a story. She's just ill.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't want to hear about my leggies. It's a new word I learnt this week, because I went into work and I was coughing, and one of my supervisors was like, "What are you doing here with your leggies?" I'm sorry.
You should have just smeared your germs over their face.
And then gotten fired, yeah.
So on the docket today we have our big announcement. We're gonna be sharing a lot of information about Flare Project, which we've been hinting at for the last couple of weeks. We finally decided on how we're kind of doing it. And we've even posted up our first blog post talking about the more interesting details about Flare Project. So starting off, we talked about the world building, which we've gotten some assumed positive feedback on. Please comment. We really want feedback. Just a little reminder.
I mean, we can assume that it's good because it got a few people to follow. I got a personal bit of feedback which was sounds really good. So
yes, so we're going to talk about that a bit. We're going to talk about the proper future of Flare Project, including what you guys probably guessed will be coming in the future. The Kickstarter.
It's coming.
It's coming one day.
Yeah. If you want timelines, we don't have one for you.
Pretty much, because we just want to do the story justice. So if that takes a year, it takes a year. If we somehow pump it out in 3 months, we pump it out in 3 months. But yeah, we'll be talking about that and the processes we're doing to try and support that as a viable future option. Well, the end goal, basically. And after that, we have just general chat about anime. New stuff we're watching. Anything new?
Yeah, I'm following a few this season. I've kind of decided which ones I'm following.
Cool, so we can get an update on that. And depending on time, we might talk about our creative past. So I didn't always plan to be an author or like a screenplay writer.
The term is screenwriter.
A screenwriter.
If you're gonna pursue it, at least learn what your title is.
Hey, I bet there's psychologists who still get psychiatry and psychology mixed up.
Psychologists don't. People do.
Okay, whatever. And yeah, I can maybe talk about my past a bit. I mean, the writing always would play a part. But there was another big thing I wanted to do, which I have decided to push back or shelve it for now and really focus on the writing aspect. So yeah, think that's good enough of a docket to go on. Plus we got 2 bits of feedback from friends that maybe the podcast is a little bit long, so
we'll try and cut it down.
Depends.
Not go off on as many tangents, perhaps.
If you guys like the long form, 2-hour thing, please say something in the comments so we know. We really need feedback on this because we don't want to bore you if it's too long. Mm-hmm. And if we make it short, will you guys like that, or do you guys just like listening to us rant for like 2 hours to like kill some of your working week, maybe.
I don't know. Or just have some background noise whilst you do something.
Yeah, or like fall asleep too.
I don't know how I feel about that one though.
I think as long as the video doesn't close and it counts as a view, they could be doing anything they want to the video.
But then they don't hear about the cool stuff on the Flare project or know any of the information.
Well, if they want to find out, they can just rewatch the video and give us another view.
You're spoken like a true businessman. Job well done.
Right, so I think that's 5 minutes of intro, so alright. Big news.
Big good news.
We have paid for a website. We are going to have our own home on the internet. I think that's round of applause worthy. So yeah, it's currently under production with just me on it, basically. You can take a pretty good guess at what the domain I decided to call it was. It's SWRUManga.com.
Ta-da!
So easy. It's so easy for you to find us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like I said, we're trying to build it ourselves. But if like a month down the line, I still haven't managed to figure out plugins and forms and linking all of that and make it look pretty, I might look to get someone to help out on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to help you with just deciding on a theme just like 10 minutes ago, and I was... oh, God.
It's so long.
It's so long.
So, like, peeling back the curtain, so we're, like, super honest with you guys about, like, all of our production stuff. It's hosted through a site called, like, Bluehost, I believe, and the kind of base for it is WordPress.com? WordPress.org, sorry. Which is the basis of around 50% of websites nowadays. Like, it's very big. Because it allows, like, personalizing.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's, like, fairly simple to use.
You say fairly simple, but then you try and actually do it, and it goes into, like, coding territory.
It's a bit of a learning curve, that's for sure. If anybody has, like, experience with website building or with the WordPress.org version at least, feel free to get in contact, post in the comments below, message us however you want, and I will gladly take your help. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's our first big piece of news. Second big piece of news is not news, but like finally we're going to tell you guys about the long-term goals of SWRUManga. Yeah. So, we're starting off small currently. We're trying to build up a number of people who are going to kind of read over what we have so far and the kind of spoiler-free versions we're going to be posting up. Give us feedback on it, ideally, so we know what you guys enjoy, what you guys don't like, and really try to get a community built and involved with the actual creation process. That's the ideal scenario. So, if you have any writer friends, family, or anyone you know really who would be up for giving critiques or, just chatting about it with us, we'd be super, super happy for that to happen. Because we know with like creative projects, typically people don't really comment or give much feedback for at least a long while until it like picks up steam. But we really want to get everyone in on like ground-based level because we've solidified pretty much the plot and the characters, and if we start creating scenes and page by page plans and then there's a really astounding piece of feedback, then we're gonna need to rebuild from
the ground up again.
Very,
and that's...
fine level, all the way back up to a top level, and then rebuild it all the way back down.
Yeah, and that's really time consuming and difficult. Because you still want to try and keep everything else the way it was, but you want to change this one thing without it having a domino effect, and it's really hard.
So pretty much. So we want to get as much feedback as we can from ground level. Understanding that we will also be working on it anyway. So the sooner we get feedback, the better, really. Yes, in terms of the actual project management side of it, as we've already said, we've got our own website, so we're gonna pretty much. We're
getting our
website up.
It's still being built, so it's not there yet.
So we're aiming for it to be the one-stop shop, hub of all of our activity. Of course, you can still follow our Facebook page, our Twitter account, and our YouTube channel, but we're gonna be embedding the videos into our website, and you guys can connect with us on the website. We'll have links to our social channels, and so hopefully it'll just make it really easy to find us, because at the moment we're kind of
spread out.
We're spread out a bit. We're on Manga Raiders, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and there's no one solid place to just find us and everything. So in terms of updates, in terms of blog posts, we're gonna we'll still post them up in the old places, but we're gonna post them on our proper website as well. So which means you can just save that one website and then just
find everything there.
In terms of getting so peeling back the curtains a lot, perhaps now, is the concept of email lists. So if you never built your own project or needed to contact a lot of people, it's this concept where everyone's experienced it. You're on a website and you get a pop-up saying, subscribe for our weekly newsletter. So behind that pop-up is basically you input your email address and you get access to, say, exclusive content or news, and then what you're paying is basically your email address. The company then has your email address in an emailing list. We do want to create an emailing list, not because we want to spam you guys or want to use your email for nefarious reasons, but we just want to collate and have a count of how much support we have overall. Because a key aspect of, what we hinted at earlier, of kickstarting a project, is you need a crowd built up before you actually start the Kickstarter. That's one of the key things you can do to ensure that your Kickstarter is a success. This goes hand in hand into why we're doing our social media stuff now, so early in the production process of the story, which also brings us later on to where we are exactly with the production process. So that's why we're starting early, because we want to get you guys involved. We want to get a bit of hype up, spread the word, and then when we're semi-confident or pretty confident that it's not going to be a massive flop, then we'll do a big Kickstarter. And even now I've already started researching the costs of hiring an artist, the costs of printing books, the costs of printing business cards, and all this stuff. It's all money. It's all a lot of money, unfortunately.
It's a lot of money.
And it would just, simply put, it's just too much money for us to do ourselves, which is why we're going down the Kickstarter route. Plus, it's a good way to get everyone kind of involved with the funding of it, and also get like rewards for getting in on that ground level.
And it kind of gets like a community built up as well, which I think would be really fun to interact with.
Yeah.
If the community is interactive.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, I've always wanted to like make a manga. So so we're jumping around. Let's just straight up. I wanted to be a manga artist. That was my dream before. I spent a good 6-7 years drawing manga style on and off, kind of trying to get my skills up to industry level. Frankly, they're not up to industry level, and I'm not afraid of saying that. But yeah, given real life and work, full-time work, it's been like I've come to like the crossroads basically of like, do I want to pursue drawing, or do I want to pursue the story side of it and really commit and make sure I can focus all of my time and effort into it and really improve my skill level straight, like focused on one thing. And as you guessed, I decided on the story route. It's the stories, it's the characters which really excite me. I want the story to be done in manga style, but I want to be working on the story. That's my dream. And with SWRU-chan, I think with her background, she was also more into the writing side as well. So SWRU-chan, do you want to talk about a little bit about like, you had a blog before, you did like fanfic. You don't need to say what they are, but like a bit of history.
No need to bring up my dark past. it's God, I'm trying to like erase it from memory. Okay, so yeah, I've always enjoyed creative writing. Like even at school, I used to hate English as at school, but whenever we had a creative writing like session or whatever, those were my like favorite bits. And from that, there were my 16-year-old dark fangirl days when I used to be on fan forums and I used to write fanfic. If I go back and read those now, I cringe extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they had a pretty decent following, actually. I had quite a few people who used to read it on the fan forums and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So moving forward from there, kind of education and life took over, but my interest in continuing to write didn't really. I guess what just never occurred to me in the past until like quite recently is looking into what makes a story interesting, what makes a character interesting, and how to actually write correctly, which you know, which I wasn't doing when I was writing fanfics. But because of that prior interest, I think what I learnt through those books. So I read quite a few books. So there was the book by something Steinbeck. I forgot his name, but he wrote. It was a book on how to write believable characters. So that book was really good. There's also another book called How to Write with Tension and Conflict. I also forget what the author's name is. I am very bad with names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
Just as a thing, if anybody ever refers me to an anime character and they use the name, I'm like, sorry, who? Can you please describe or like what they do? And it's like, oh, the girl with the pink hair. Right. Okay. I get what you mean. That's me. But yes, so those two books I think were really enlightening for me in terms of how to write. And ever since then, it's something that's stuck with me, and I notice things when I read or watch a movie or whatever, because these are consistent across all media platforms.
So yeah, with that, we just kind of decided, let's really focus down on the story. So we're fully committed to making sure the story and the characters are good, basically.
They're good, they make sense, they're interesting, the audience is able to like them, is able to connect with them. I wouldn't really say we're trying to make them characters who audiences can place themselves onto. I don't think that's what we're going for, but they're able to relate to.
Yeah.
Relate to.
Yeah. As with kind of most stories, there's, at least with a lot of stories, there's a bit of like fantasy fulfillment. At least with most mainstream Hollywood movies, where you have the main hero being, you know, the action hero. Everyone, when watching it, will instinctively place themselves in the shoes of the hero and want to go through the actions of the hero. And our main character is a little bit of that. She is.
Is she?
She is. That's the point of the main character.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's not gonna just... There's gonna be like really big things that she does wrong, and then she's gonna feel like a lot of regret for it. She's gonna like go through a lot of emotional conflict. We don't just want to make it into just like another battle manga, or you know, just like happy-go-lucky.
The big bad.
Just defeat the big bad. No, the main point of our story is the emotional conflict involved, and the action and the world is a way to frame it. It's the premise.
Yeah.
So yeah, and hopefully that comes through in the writing. Yeah. Anyway, off of that tangent, so we're going back to like the overall plan. So, in all honesty, we are still in the planning phase of the story.
Okay, let's just list exactly what we've finished planning.
Yeah.
And then exactly what we're doing next. So we've created character profiles for our main cast. Our main cast consists of 5 people.
Yep.
And then we've also done character profiles for our sort of main /
the main side characters, basically.
And we have how many of those?
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8.
7, 8. Yeah.
So 8 sort of mainish side characters.
Yep.
And then we've got a couple of other like side characters.
Side characters. And then obviously kind of as you create a story you find out, oh, we need like the pub owner in this scene or just like random faceless people to be interacting, like civilians, NPCs, yeah. So we got all their profiles down pat.
Yeah. We know sort of what their purpose is in the story. We actually had a larger cast before, but then we were like, nah, they don't serve a purpose. Go away.
Yeah.
And we cut them. But we've boiled it down to the people we need. They all serve a purpose. There's a meaning to them being there.
Yeah. There's no just like, oh, this one's the comic relief. Look at them being funny. Yeah, there's no like, it's this one, and they're just there for that purpose and then nothing else.
Yeah, they serve a purpose to the actual narrative itself.
Yeah, and we've weaved them in to have relationships with multiple characters. There's a big old web that I've now created, which is the character diagram, relationship diagram, and yeah, they all feel alive and they all belong in the world.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual storyline.
So we have the main story beats down. We know what the sequence is. We know how it's going to start. We know how it's going to progress. We have 2 possible endings in mind, but we haven't quite decided which one we want to go with.
Yeah.
But we have 2 specific ones in mind.
Yeah. One of our major decisions this past week was talking about how, with the emotional conflicts, how we're actually going to structure it. So How to say this non-spoilery?
Well, okay. So when we were trying to make a decision on this, the question I posed to SWRUAnime to help him decide was, do we want the audience to feel for and do we want the audience to get to know the characters, get to like them
up front, or
up
whether
front?
we want it to be a slower thing throughout the back end or like the middle of the story?
So do they like them right from the start, and then if something happens or whatever happens in their life, they immediately feel for them? Or do we want them to sort of just see what happens to them and then get to know them slowly so that they retroactively feel for
the characters? Yeah. So that was a major kind of decision that we had to make, because it kind of shapes the entire story, because the kind of like almost default anime route, at least, is to front load exposition and personality traits. Is like the first episode you get the life of the protagonist, and you find out pretty much everything that protagonist is, their dreams, their ambitions, who they are, if they get bullied in school, if they don't get bullied in school, are they popular, are they the nerdy kids?
And a lot of the time it's done by narration as well.
Yeah, or like, you know, he's thinking to himself, oh man, I don't want to go to school because of the bullies, and then he gets to school and then is immediately bullied. So it's all very, very exposition heavy and very heavy-handed. And I guess that is the norm, but it's also like it feels so boring. I'm really sick of it. I'm tired of it.
It feels a bit like anime's been kind of stunted in its growth, where it's found like it like a working formula that seems to be good enough, and it's decided to just kind of stick there.
Yeah, and of course there's like anomalies which, you know, shake it up a bit, and those are the ones who, you know, people remember. Like
for a long time.
Yeah, there's a really strange anime called Texnolyze. It's spelled like TEXHOLYZE, and it basically had the character as like an empty husk of a character. He just wandered around, and then he was picked up by different mafia groups where he tried to find out what he wanted to do with his life. And then he just kind of gets caught up with one of these like rebel causes, and it was like really interesting, and it kept me engaged even though I didn't think the series was fantastic. It was so fresh because it was like I don't immediately know what this character is going to do, say, how they're going to act with other people, and I'm like 4 episodes in, but you know, he's wandering and he's lost, and I felt like there's lots of people who do feel they are lost and alone in the world, so it's just like, oh, that's kind of relatable. It's kind of an interesting take. It's not just like a trope or a stereotype. It was like interesting and new. So that's kind of what we want to do with our story. We don't want to make it just like another run-of-the-mill formulaic thing, but obviously we want to keep it to like... So there's standards. I know everyone says like media is an art form, or like movies are an art form, and like there's no wrong way of doing it, and there's no right way of doing it. But there are plot structures and such which work well for a reason. It works well because you have some understanding of the characters, or like you get an expositional dump of a side character, and then as you sit there watching it, you're like, are they about to kill off this character?
Yeah.
And then they kill him off.
And
it's
they
like,
kill him off, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's jokes about it on the internet everywhere going, oh, there we go, death flag right there.
Pretty much.
Or like romance flag right there.
Yeah. So we don't want to make it so heavy-handed and obvious, and we want it to feel more natural. We want to make it feel like as you're reading it, you're going, oh, this... And you're just lost in it, and like 25 pages later, you're like, oh my god, I need to reread this. It was so immersive. It was so like interesting and felt so real to us. that, you know, you just get lost in it. That's the goal of the project, basically. That is like at the heart of it. We want to be able to provide an experience for readers and just really enjoy it and get lost in it.
Really feel the emotions that the characters are feeling.
Yeah. And lead you guys on like an interesting, fun, at times, sometimes dark journey through the world. So yeah, that's really the goal. And to do that, we are obviously taking our time with writing the screenplay. We haven't started writing the screenplay yet, straight up. Which is why we're doing so much planning and so much making sure the plot structure is to our liking and the arcs are placed in places where they make sense, they're not too intrusive. And we also want to keep enjoyment and immersion high. So we don't want to just dump a huge amount of emotional conflict for like four chapters.
Just for the sake of seeming like we're a cerebral story. That's not the aim here.
Yeah. So we really do want to find that balance. So we are going to take our time with it. But no matter what, we are going to finish it. Like, it's straight up, it is one of my life goals. It is like truly and honestly what I've wanted to do for almost 10 years now, and I haven't hit 30 yet. I'm not even 25 yet. So like, yeah, we're young, we get it, but it's also like I am so dedicated to this. We've put so much time in. And we've now
been like what, 6 months?
Yeah. And like monetarily wise, we've now put in the money for a couple of years of like domain hosting and all this other stuff.
And we're even looking to, you know, spend even more on artist
promo art. So yeah, actually puts us back on track from our tangent. We want to eventually kickstart it, but with the Kickstarter process, you need a following before you kickstart to really increase the chances of success. So we are going to keep at it. We're going to keep putting up good content, blog posts, podcasts, and really try to build a base, really try to get people involved and get our community involved and get some buzz around what we're trying to do.
I think we kind of left the topic of where we exactly are we're doing next.
Yeah.
Another tangent again.
Yeah. So characters are done. In terms of the storyline, we're kind of pretty much done. We just need, it's all high level stuff at the moment. We need to figure out the nitty gritty stuff.
So from what I remember, do correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That is, so for each character, we have their emotional arc down.
Yep.
For each one, yeah. So we have for each character, we have their emotional arc and how that's going to play out in the plot, in the actual story, down. But what we need to do now is do some sequencing work with everyone's arcs together, because we don't know when what happens relative to another thing. Yeah. So we know what happens for each character at what point, but how that is related to another character's incidents.
Journey.
Yeah. So we haven't done that. So we need to do some sequencing work next.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
Yeah. And we'll see how long that takes. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully we can figure it out in this week. That's my aim. That's what I'm gonna be thinking about on my journey to work.
Yeah.
Every day.
on Tabitha.
Yeah, on Tabitha. I have invested in a tablet so I can work on Flare project going to work and from work. It's an Android tablet, therefore it has been named Tabitha. Which
listen, as long as you don't name any of your characters Tabitha, you can do what you like. Okay? I have nothing else to say. regarding that name. Okay.
You just don't like it that much, do you?
I don't. It's an old lady's name, okay?
I think it's cute.
It's only because you were a fanboy for SWRUAnime and you liked Tabitha. That's the only reason why you like that name. Okay?
I still think it's fine. It's not Martha, at least. No matter what, it's not Martha. Oh, sorry. Chan is having a coughing fit.
Shut up.
Sorry, folks.
It's up there with Martha.
Oh my god. So while SWRU-chan takes a swig of water, yeah, let's see, side characters. Yeah, so we're doing some arc aligning basically. In terms of world building, if you check out our new blog post that we posted up yesterday, it talks about a lot of the worlds. It's really cool and fun and interesting and dangerous. One person...
All the buzzwords.
One person has finally given a piece of feedback saying, it sounds interesting. It sounds like The Village, which is the movie by M. Night Shyamalan. And I haven't watched it. We haven't watched it, have we?
It, no.
Yeah, but I kind of see where they get that kind of comparison from. But it's like, I think this is more like a mystery.
I think, you know that one line description on the wiki where it says about a village whose inhabitants live in fear of creatures inhabiting the woods beyond it. From that one line, I can see where they find
definitely
similarity, but I think that's where the similarities kind of end.
Yeah, so our story is going to be a bit more action based, whereas this seems to be quite a bit more mystery based.
Yeah, kind of like horror, a bit of a horror.
Yeah, but it has definitely piqued our interest, so we might give it a watch sometime. But yeah,
you sure?
That's really interesting.
M. Night Shyamalan though.
I know. It's got mixed reviews there, I believe. You alright? Oh my god.
I don't know. I tell my body to stop dying, but it won't do it.
If you need to like cough up miscellaneous fluids, you can just like go to the bathroom anytime.
Can you please stop?
So yeah, which was an interesting piece of feedback to get for sure. And yeah, we're definitely interested in probably watching it sometime when we have time.
Asterisk on the when we have time.
Yeah.
Sorry, emphasis on the when we have time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the world building, and you guys can like read up on that. After the break, we might like have a talk about it because some of our viewers might not want to like read. It's like 1,000 words. It's a proper essay, pretty much.
Well, sorry, there was a lot to like write about. Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk through it. Yeah. At least like give an executive summary of it.
Yes. Just as a heads up though, this is a part 1 of word building.
Yeah.
I talk about what the village is like, what the sort of I feel like what the soldiers do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the word soldiers for now.
So we'll talk about that after the break.
And then part 2 is going to be about the people who live within the village and the cultures and traditions.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are in terms of Flare Project. In terms of the project management, going back to that, we want to kickstart it, but to do a proper Kickstarter and to really raise your guys' interest, it's obviously like we can say all this, but it's manga. So it's heavily visual, and in order to do that, we need to pay an artist to do some promo work to help us design characters. So that is gonna come straight out of pocket in terms of financing. I'm on the lookout already for artists to kind of work on it.
Mm-hmm. And do some character designs for us, and maybe some, I don't know, would they be able to do some like designs for the
The
world.
village and the world. Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be really cool to do.
Ooh, and we need to kind of decide what the monsters are gonna look like.
Yeah. Yes, we do. So yeah, and that's gonna come out of pocket, and that will help raise interest levels, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. And all of that's gonna be on the soon-to-come website.
Yes, absolutely. And then after that, we are going to start reaching out to kind of people who cover Kickstarter projects and people who cover specifically comic and manga projects, and try to get advice from them on how to proceed further, because there's only so much we can do without doing some proper advertising, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's more traditional formats, we don't know yet. So it's a lot of stuff to research, but there's no way enthusiasm is going to drop off and we just go, yeah, we just kind of given up. Yeah, we're just planning ahead. Yeah, and then after that, once we've kind of created a buzz about it, we are probably going to visit anime conventions and really try to boost that signal even more, and hopefully get you guys involved with helping us do that as well. There's only so much us two people with full working lives can do. So
with no artistic skills. Well, you have artistic skills.
Not
I
enough.
can't draw to save my life.
So yeah, that is kind of the super honest version of how we're gonna go about it, what the future plans of Flare Project are, and hopefully by being honest with you guys this early on, like on the ground level, transparency is everything. We want everyone to get involved as much as possible. We want to open up chats. We'd love to chat about our work, and so yeah, we would love it if we could strike up a discussion, strike up some interest, and you can definitely help us in the easiest of ways. Just share news or share our blogs with people you know, and tell them to share it to people they know.
And that should be enough for now.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's how it's gonna go. That is the game plan.
Yep. And that kind of puts an end to this section. Moving forward, I think we're just gonna stick to content info, what we're doing, things like that. So for now, we'll take a short break.
Yep. Let's
and then
do
we'll
that.
come back to talking about Flare Project in general,
Yeah.
instead of the project management.
Which is boring and, it sounds
Yeah.
very businessy and boring.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the fun stuff after this. See you in a bit.
Thanks for joining us. See you in a bit. Bye. Hey guys!
Tadaima!
Welcome back. Part 2. We are all freshened up. Had some food. I had a lot of coffee. And I'm feeling like 300% more Genki than before.
I'm suffering from post-lunch bleh.
So I will be trying to energize you with my energy beam. Energy, give you more energy. No?
Shut up.
Alright then.
Moving on.
Moving on. From before the break, we were talking about the worlds of Flare Project.
Dun, 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 dun.
Da, 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 da.
We haven't given it a name yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Names are hard.
So yeah, so like we mentioned before, we have most of this, all of this, in fact, probably,
More or
on
less.
the blog post from yesterday.
Oh, yes. All of it.
And we're just gonna pretty much do a summary through that. Sorry, just had lunch. Ugh.
Are you okay?
Ew.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Yep. And so we're gonna have a run through of that and kind of discuss how we came up with it, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
How honest do you want to be about how Flare Project was birthed?
Well, now that we've mentioned it, actually, let's keep that on in our sleeves for now,
Okay.
and it could be one of the things we put on our website.
Ooh, yes.
So anyway, that tantalized them a little bit. Let's actually move on to what has been posted. All right. So, as we mentioned, SWRUchan writes our blog posts. Does a great job. Let's see. We started off with, the amount of people that live in a village. The village. So the story focuses on one particular village.
It's a completely different world, but we're not gonna focus too much on the world itself. We're gonna focus on a portion of it and what the people in that portion go through.
So the village is about 200 people. Humans are... So there are humans in the world. And there are monsters in the world as well.
We need to think of something to call these monsters.
And we need a design
monsters.
as well.
And we need to design as well. In the blog post, I talk about how like, in my head, I imagine them like winged dragons without whiskers.
Yeah.
I don't know. If anybody who's listening to this has watched Cross and J, I kind of imagine the dragons from there.
I'm not
I don't know
too
why.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the default I have made psychologically in my head for the word monster. But it's probably just my prototype.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how I imagine it. You probably fully, entirely disagree.
Yeah, it was really not what I had in mind, to be honest. Yeah, I was just thinking like various kind of land animal-based shapes, which is like... It's been done, sure, but it's also like it makes sense in the story. Cause, sorry.
If they're just this is a point of discussion actually, which is if they're just different land-based animals, does it make sense that there is a queen and they're in a nest?
So the kind of backstory to the monsters is that they've always existed in the world. They predate humans. So in a way, they're sort of like dinosaurs. If you want to simplify the idea of them, it's almost like a story where dinosaurs are still roaming the earth and humans have managed to come along and live alongside them. So in that sense, there's like different types of the monsters.
Okay.
That's my thinking behind it. So there is like a nest-based group of them, and then there are also those who are roaming, and therefore we open up the world to having like loads of different shapes of the monsters, sizes of the monsters, and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, that's my thinking behind it.
Doesn't it then also open up that there would be different types of monsters and some wouldn't attack humans?
Yes, we will
and
have
some
like...
would be helpful to
Maybe
humans. Maybe not helpful,
no.
like they work together, but like...
I don't... No,
no,
humans haven't tamed any.
Okay.
It's not like agriculture. there's no taming.
Yeah. Okay. So some just don't attack. But then would the humans still hunt them? The ones that don't attack?
Well, yeah, because the humans live to survive. And if that involves killing, monsters who are vegetarian, then yeah.
Cool. All right.
It's very much like a hunter-gatherer mentality to the humans. as far as the story's main focus is, they haven't gotten past the hunter-gatherer stage of civilization.
Mm-hmm.
There could be other places which have, but there may not be. So we
don't know.
We don't know, and you won't know either.
well, they can't know until we know.
Or do we know?
Do you know?
Maybe I know.
Okay, maybe you know. I don't know.
Maybe you know as well.
Okay.
Maybe no one knows. Dun dun dun. Who knows? Anyway.
I'm very confused now.
Anyway, monsters, sure. So they are prey too. They're hunting for resources.
Mm-hmm.
The monsters, you know, just like beasts, they try to expand their territories. They want to grow out, have a bigger colony.
Yeah, survive. Basically.
Survive. So, and humans are just a small part of the world. They are against them just as much as they are against the humans. It's just like survival of the fittest. The humans have created a village, a safe haven for them. Mm-hmm. But because as humans they then kind of build the village, it becomes a bigger target for monsters that roam. They're easier to spot. You know, they have
to kind of run into and find lots of food.
Pretty much. And yeah, means that they're under more attacks, and because they're actually entrenched between two monster nests, they actually are subjected to quite a lot of raids, and these raids have actually increased over time. So for the village, times are looking pretty tough when we begin our story. It's getting worse and worse, and people don't know what's gonna happen. It's all kind of up in the air.
Yeah, there's that constant fear of like there being another monster raid, and you know, them losing their homes, their lives, you know, their close ones, and there is that constant fear of just losing their way of life. So hope is a very important theme, I would say, of the entire story. Yeah,
and because of that, there's also this huge theme of teamwork, working together. It's all about teamwork. You need to trust your team. Your team needs to be able to trust you.
Yeah.
So unlike quite a lot of manga and anime where there's one hero who emerges, we've kind of gone with the team's important. There is a main character. It's not really an ensemble piece, but it's very much, the themes are very much about teamwork and working together.
Of people coming together to achieve something. So even with just, let's say, the monster hunting, even that, whilst it may involve just the soldiers in getting the monster and so on, what happens after the monster is killed and everything, it actually involves the villagers,
a big chunk of the village coming together
to do something
to
as well.
like and like we kind of like touched upon, like they have a hunter-gatherer mentality. So after hunting the monsters, just a small band of soldiers, for now we'll call them soldiers, they can't really haul back a large carcass.
Yeah, we mentioned in the blog post that the monsters are fairly large, and it's heavily discouraged that anybody ever go after one by themselves.
Exactly.
It's always a team effort, and the teams tend to be 5 people big, so you know there's a reason behind that number.
Exactly. Let's see. Yep, soldiers.
Field missions.
Field missions, name to be decided and discussed. So, if the village is in need of supplies, or simply that they spot a roaming group of monsters nearby that can pose a threat, if they have enough soldiers on hand, which they aim to do, they will send them out. They'll get their weapons and they will go out and they will need to clear them out, basically, because they pose a threat to the village. and they are proactive in that way of going outside of the village to take them down, hopefully without alerting the like a nest, for example. And they actually don't know the locations of the nests, which is like a big issue for them, because later on they do want to get rid of the nests, ideally.
Well, at least one of the nests. It's actually one of the sort of objectives. Is identify and locate at least one of the nests and take it out, so that they can rest assured at least a little bit that attacks will reduce in number and they'll lose fewer people.
That's like hugely important to them. And
that's why field missions are actually more regular than just, we spotted something, let's go out. It's more of a, okay, we spotted something here, let's go and investigate, or let's go investigate there, let's go investigate there. So they're more regular than...
They clear out what's in front of the village at first, and then they start pushing out a bit, trying to expand territory a little bit, trying to find out where these nests are. It's pretty fun, interesting, dangerous.
Of course.
Because while they're out there, the village could be attacked.
The village could be attacked.
In another way.
They could be attacked. And if they die out there...
No one's gonna know.
No one's gonna know until, like, more time passes than what they're meant to be back by. And they're like, shit.
Yeah, very much. So yeah, that's really interesting. To use the weapons involved in the story in this village, it takes a specific skill set, training involved, some natural talent.
There's a bit of magic involved.
And not everyone can do it, even if you train really hard. Year on year, only a couple, if they're lucky, actually have the skills and abilities to actually wield these weapons. Which means that every loss of a soldier who is capable is a huge loss to the village. And therefore they are honoured by the village if they do pass.
And they're all, like, I wouldn't say they're treated like loyalty, but they are given a lot of importance.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of respect. And, people wouldn't, just, I don't know how to describe myself right now.
It's not like police where people are like, brutality or whatever. It's very much like they serve to defend us, and we need to make sure they're okay.
The entire community is very aware of the fact that other than the wall that lines the entry to the village, the only thing protecting them are these soldiers. And because they're so highly aware of that, they make sure that they, abide by the rules and everything, and they listen to what these protectors tell them.
Absolutely.
Although of course it comes down to the protectors to also be aware to, only enforce their authority to a certain level. They're
not really like police. They are pretty much just protectors. So in terms of like the village like law, it's very much like everyone's very responsible because it's a hunter-gatherer state of mind. Essentially trying to
just survive.
We're just trying to survive. So there's not really any kind of like cults, or like segregation of groups, whether racially or like gender. Everyone's just like, we need to just... Can you go cut the wood? If you can, please cut the wood. I can collect, X. I can collect Y. I will do that.
They're all just trying to survive, and that involves just forgetting anything else and just working together. And then again, it's the size of the community matters as well. It's just 200 people.
It's very close-knit.
It's very close-knit. So everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows what everybody else is going through. And everybody is going through essentially the same thing. So, it's just like everyone has a strong sense of community and are just banding together out of like desperation, out of
like want
Hope?
as well, out of hope,
Out of
because
hope.
it's the only way.
That they can continue going on.
Yeah. So in a way, it's almost like what we aspire society to one day be like,
I suppose.
with minus the monsters.
Minus the monsters and the desperation.
Yeah, just like working together on stuff, and that's one of the main themes that we really want to bring out in our story, which is I've always wanted to do a story where people band together really well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that'll be quite fun. That's good. How do these groups of 5 soldiers work as a team?
Okay, so every team will have a designated tactician. So one person is going to specialize in tactics.
Mhm.
But
let me just cut you off here.
What?
I really pushed the idea of having each team have a tactician, because in a lot of anime and in a lot of manga, it's like, okay guys, this is your squad, this is your team, and they're like, all right, sweet, and then they go out to face like an army of enemies, and then they have no tactics. They're just like, all right, let's
divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. That's it. And whilst they say they're acting as a team, it's like, fine, the results are like you did it as a team, but it's like you didn't actually work together
as a team. Everybody individually contributed in some way.
Yeah. So what I really wanted is for the teams in Flare Project to really work together. That's why we have a tactician for each team. A person who kind of takes the lead, has like surveys the land, knows the layout, knows kind of they do analysis mid battle. They analyze kind of, okay, this monster, what attacks are working, what attacks aren't working, how can we change it up, what tactics can we use to try to overcome this foe.
And then offer best course of action.
They then come up with a plan and offer it as the best course of action, or maybe give like 2 options maybe to the leader of the team, who then
calls the final shot.
Now
this leader person can be anybody. It can be the tactician themselves, it can be any of the other members.
But it's like pre-decided before they set off from the village, who is going to take the lead.
Yeah.
And, because there are so few soldiers in the village, kind of, if one of the characters tries to step up as like the leader role, they will be strongly considered, because like if they want to.
Very few. And the thing is, they managed to qualify to be one of these, field mission soldiers. So that means they all have the capability to do so.
Exactly, and they all need the experience, because like even the higher ups understand the value of experience. Can't just have like one person who's really good at being a leader,
so they just assign it to them
and just always assign it to them.
No.
And then everyone else gets screwed. So no, that's why every team has a leader and a tactician.
Yeah.
The other people in the team act as kind of like flexi role. So it depends on the tactician.
On the tactics that they use.
And the tactics they
formations.
use. And therefore it depends on what kind of monsters they're up against. So if I just go, let's give them something. So for example, if there is a fast monster, instead of say trying to all just like jump it at the same time, they may try to craft a path to chase it down, and then force the monster to face a wall or an enclosed area, and then they can finish it off swiftly. And in this village, because there are so few and there are so few people, the ideal solution to facing monsters is, if you can defeat it safely using your tactics. If you need to enter a dangerous scenario where you're like head on with it, best to avoid it.
Run
away if need be. Or rethink your solution, or like find a way which doesn't put you in harm's way that much, unless you are extremely confident in your ability to like jump it.
I mean, even then, the idea of taking a monster on alone is just like, don't do it.
Basically,
just don't do it.
Yeah. So that in that way, we once again really reinforced the work as a team aspect. It's very much like teamwork is the best solution. Yeah.
I mean, at least 2 people. At the very least, you need 2 people.
Yeah. So a couple of things we decided about the monsters is that at least some of them are gonna be like fairly big. I was thinking, of course, this is all up in the air. Like we're deciding at the moment.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure.
I was thinking having one which is like 4 stories tall.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And that would pose like a really interesting threat.
It will be like the equivalent of the long necks
Yeah.
of dinosaurs.
Yeah, and that will pose like a really interesting kind of conflict scenario for the teams involved.
Yeah. And some of them are also going to be armored, basically. So they'll have like really thick metal-like shells. And those monsters need special kinds of weapons to deal with.
Yeah. Special like elite kind of weapons and skills to take that on. Because I think it's okay to say like there's no like firearms or like cannons.
Yeah, those don't exist.
Those don't exist.
Yeah, so like guns, rifles, cannons.
Yeah. And that's just kind of like a personal preference of mine, which I'll just like put out there. I find guns quite boring. Like for storytelling, because characters hold so much power with a gun that it's like it just takes a pull of the trigger and you can fell like
think
an enemy.
of it this way. Guns
That's just my thing.
Guns are so powerful that you can stand at a point really far away from your target and shoot, and you accomplish what you want to accomplish. That's kill someone, maim someone, hurt them, whatever.
It just feels like there's too much disconnect.
So it has that much power, but movies still make people hold a gun in hand, but still walk towards their target.
Yeah.
To try and build the tension.
And sometimes I feel like, what if you guys just didn't use guns for this story? If you wanted to have this threatening scene of someone walking up behind someone, would it be like just as powerful, or maybe more powerful, to show them like take out from, say, a pocket just like a switchblade? And that's like so much more visceral and intimidating.
Tense, yeah.
If someone's like walking up behind the main character or a character you care about with a knife. That just feels so scary. Yeah. So much more scary to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's more painful with
Exactly.
It's a slow death.
It's a lot more intimate. Yeah. In so many movies, it's just like, okay, we could shoot him,
but we're gonna walk
up and then like put it right against the back of his head, and then he's gonna disarm us, and then we're all dead.
And then we're all dead. Yes.
So yeah, that's just like at least my personal preference, and at least it sounds like SWRUAnim's preference as well.
Like all those old Western movies about cowboys and all the gunfights. They were never my thing.
Yeah, with cowboy fights, it's like it's the build up, which is like the most interesting thing. The actual gunfight is actually just like not that interesting. Yeah. It's the build up. It's like the tension. They meet eye to eye. All of that is the best part of that. Yeah. But then the actual actions, I just find not very interesting.
Yeah, it's not really my cup of tea.
So yeah, their meat, as we said, hunter-gatherer. The monsters are made of flesh. They are edible.
Yeah. Their meat is used for food. Their blood is used as a fuel.
So yeah, this comes from the monsters kind of grazing on the land. But these monsters have evolved, developed, come to be able to graze more than what animals in the real world are able to graze on. As such, their blood contains a lot of like minerals, a lot of like different chemicals involved as well. Their blood composition is actually different. It's just actually fortunate that their like mass, their muscle is actually edible. but the blood, actually, the humans have found a way to utilize the blood as a resource, and also manipulate that resource to make it into like different kinds of resources as well.
Yeah.
Which means that the blood is valuable. Which means, whilst it is best to attack the monsters and
just kill it,
it might mean that by killing it in such a way, you lose most of the blood, and maybe the meat is no longer edible as well, which means it's actually like a wasted resource. And if the village is in a tight situation, if they are missing a particular type of resource, they may need to tell the soldiers to be like, you gotta kind of face them head on a bit. And
can you please try and kill it in such a way that you can still gather all of this for us,
gather
so we can
all of
survive?
it so we can survive. But also we don't want you to die. So there's
a lot of pressure on the soldiers.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
So yeah, which is quite an interesting thing. So it means that the priorities of the soldiers actually change a little bit depending on the situation of the village. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I could imagine. I know this is blowing my own horn. I feel like having this as a mechanic in a game would be quite interesting. Like when you go out on a mission, then your village just is like, you gotta kill it in another way. Maybe one day. Big dreams. Way too far down the line. Anyway.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Yeah, and also because slaying these beasts is so difficult. Sometimes, you know, as people do, as soldiers do, they collect like little mementos or little bits of things which they can decorate the village with, or you know, how cool would it be if like your father gave you like this giant tooth of a monster he slayed? That's pretty badass. I like the idea of that. So yeah, we're going to have that.
On that, actually, this is something that I thought of as I was writing this blog post. When I was writing what the different parts are used for, I thought, is there anything that they'd use the monster, like, skeleton, like the bones? And as well as, is there anything that they'd use the monster skin for?
Maybe. Because, I mean, in the real world, they use skin as, like, leather, clothing, hide. Yeah, maybe. We can put that in.
So that's something we could think about for later.
Yeah, and the skeleton, the skeleton could be made into like soup.
I don't know.
I guess.
Maybe. I mean, maybe they can use the bones for something other than food.
Maybe. Construction?
It depends on the size, right?
Yeah.
Size and like makeup of the bones and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something to think about for you to ponder on the train.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Moving on. Different types of monsters. We've covered that. The village itself has a wall lining its entry with a big gate. Yep, this part. I'm thinking the wall isn't like super large.
It doesn't have to be super big.
Yeah, it's a slight deterrent, but it's not really enough to keep out like a raid of monsters. Yeah. I
mean, they don't have that many resources, so they can't
build such a huge gate.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
The wall, of course, is like, you know, used as like a watchtower kind of thing. You know, there's people walking the walls, keep an eye out for monsters. The special thing about the wall is the gate, because the gate serves some narrative purpose for us.
Yeah, it's operated by one person.
Somebody with a name.
We named...
have a name. His name is Havan.
Havan. He is the village blacksmith. He's just an all-round good dude.
Yeah, he's just a nice guy.
Yeah, he helps out around the village. He mans the gate. So he, as the blacksmith as well, he makes all the weapons and the tools used by the soldiers and the villagers. He manages the supplies taken by soldiers on their missions. And he himself has chosen the job of seeing off the teams when they go off.
When they field missions, and he greets them
when they come
return. So he opens the gates for them.
There's also a bell.
Yes. I didn't mention that in the blog post.
It's fine. There is a bell at the gate, which Havan rings.
Rings when the teams come back.
There may be different ways he rings said bell, depending on the situation. And of course, the bell can be used as an alarm for everyone to get on alert, for example.
Yeah.
How do the missions work? So we've done that. So usually the village wants to stay on the safer side. They send one group of soldiers out into the field. There's one group that guards the walls. And then there's a final group on standby for emergencies, or they could be
just off duty.
They could
resting,
could be helping out the villagers with some of their tasks, such as collecting the firewood. Some of them may accompany them just as guardians, to help out.
Yeah, herbs,
berries, fruits, berries,
things like that.
Yeah. So with so few, if like I said before, if some of them if some get killed or injured, then it's a devastating blow to the village, because it means that the team which comes back needs to, recuperate, and which means there's no field missions going out there for a while.
Well, by that team.
Yeah, so it changes the dynamics of the village a lot, depending on whether or not people get injured, whether people or not get killed. Yeah, so massive stakes, basically. There's also a kind of dilapidated castle, or like remnants of a building in the center of the village. It acts as like the hub as well of like the village.
The soldiers?
Of the soldiers.
The soldiers, yeah.
The soldiers have dormitories there. And here there's one or two of the people who are on watch duty would be on top of the tower with a lot higher vantage point, basically.
Just they're the ones who look for like nearby monster activity, and they say, "Oh, I noticed a few fairly close to the village. Best to go out and get rid of them." And then they send a field mission team out.
After people return from the village, there is obviously maintenance that needs to be done on the weapons.
Return from the mission.
From the mission, sorry. So the tools and weapons are given back to Havan, who, as the blacksmith, he might have a helper or two, and helps repair the weapons, helps maintain them, sharpen them as required.
If you don't mind me revealing like a little bit more, it's like based on Havan's role and how critical his role is. I think he's very aware of that. He needs to have someone who will take over from him. Yeah. So it might be that he has like an apprentice or somebody that he takes very good care of in terms of teaching them his methods.
Because like any of them could suddenly be taken away, snatched away, and like killed.
And they need to have people in place
with the skills
that they need.
So yeah, teamwork's a big factor. Also, this idea of like teaching and learning. Actually, one of the members of the team actually actively seeks out to learn different skills. So yeah, let's see. A lot of responsibility.
We mentioned all of the.
We've mentioned this, I think.
Yeah, and then how there's one particular character who very aggressively, I would say, talks about the importance of being up to par in terms of their skill, coordinating with the team, always putting the team first when they're outside of missions, and surviving. They really hammer home the point of you cannot die. Yeah. Like, if you die, that's not just your death and your family's grief that's at stake here. There's much more than that. Yeah. So that one particular character is quite blunt about that.
Yeah. So hopefully that's pretty tantalizing. Because I think it's pretty interesting. I'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to hear feedback. But I think it creates a very interesting world for humans, this village in particular, to kind of reside in. There's danger all of the time, but they still trying.
Life still goes on.
Life still goes on. They're trying to change their situation. They're trying to make it better. But would it go well? Would it not go well? We'll have to see. Yeah, so on to kind of more casual, non-related news. This week in SWRUManga's lives, So-chan has been sick.
Do we need to talk about that? I was ill. I came down with a sudden bout of flu and was stuck in bed for 2 days.
Yeah.
It sucked. I had a lot of juice and I had a sore throat. So lots of meds. I hate medicine, but had to live on it basically. And that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm healing now. And I learnt a new word, lurgy.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
I can't believe you never heard of that word.
Because
as kids, it's just like, you got the lurgy.
I've never heard of it. Never heard of it. First time.
Yeah. Did anything else go on this week? Let's have a quick think.
No.
No.
Nah.
We've had a boring week.
Life's boring.
We've had a boring week. Yeah.
More often than not, our weeks are boring.
Yeah, it's just been really exciting for the past 2 podcasts. So this week we got not that much really.
Nah.
Yeah. Just
I
been
mean,
working.
There's the London Marathon going on today, so all the roads are closed.
Yeah.
So we're stay at home, yay!
Yeah. Have there been any new interesting animes that you've been watching?
I've finalized which shows I'm watching this season.
Do you know off the top of your head, or shall I bring up the list for you?
I know which ones I'm watching.
Ooh, alright, go for it.
I'm watching
Number 1.
Second season Attack on Titan.
Okay, saw that coming. Number 2.
Second season Boku no Hero Academia.
Okay, saw that coming. Number 3.
It's a slice of life romance called Tsukiga Kirei. It's about these 2 middle school students. They're in their final year, and it's basically how they learn more about themselves and growing up, and and how they fall in love, and it's really cute, and I really like it.
Okay.
The dialogue is not heavy-handed.
Ew.
The art style, it's got a very watercolory feeling.
Okay.
So I think it suits the kind of the atmosphere of the thing.
Is it quite a warm, feel-good show, or is it quite dramatic emotionally?
No, it's a warm feel-good show. It's a warm feel-good. One thing I was a bit worried about is that it might end up being really slow. But it's not, so I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be a love triangle involved?
So far, I haven't seen any hints. But maybe, I don't know, maybe. Because you know what kids are like. He likes her, but then she likes him, and then he likes someone else, and it's just duh. So I don't know. As long as it doesn't get all melodramatic on me, I'll be fine. There was this thing that bothered me though, which is how about the way the colors are gradiented on everyone. So everybody has this big white line of white everywhere, and then there's color, and it's just a bit strange.
What do you mean white line? Is it because with anime in general?
No.
Well, manga, they have a white line.
It's not a line. It's like a big, wait, let me try and bring it up for you as I talk. But it just looks a bit strange. But I got used to it over time. So...
I think it's popped up. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. We're popping onto Google right now.
No. There's no desine to this. It's just Tsukiga Kirei.
Okay. So, what's this white line?
See that thick bit of white? on both sides, and on her face, and on her neck, and on her clothes.
Right, it makes everything look very shiny.
Yeah.
Right, so
it's a bit excessive. Like the sunlight isn't that powerful, and the thing is that you see this when they're like in their room or they're just outside and it's nighttime as well.
Yeah, they've overly, in my opinion, stylistically, they've really overemphasized the light effects.
So like on the first episode, I found that really kind of distracting, but I got used to it after a while, so it's okay now. And the main two characters seem to have like, you know, while it's not very strong, but like they seem to have a personality. Like I can try and predict their reactions to things, which is pretty cool. And they both have their own goals. They both have their own dreams, what they want to do, what they like. So that's quite nice touch as well.
Cool. Okay, well, seems like that's quite a strong anime for you. Number 4, next one.
You know that show I mentioned, which I think is going to be the best one, Sekai Suru Kado. That one is still okay. It is basically alien has made contact with us and how we're going to proceed with it. Oh, it's the cube one. Yes, the cube one.
Is the doctor dead yet?
She's not dead, but she only gets like 2 seconds of screen time, so I'm okay.
Like I said before, if she's not dead, the series has not been redeemed.
Alright, fine, good for you. But anyway, it's still pretty good.
She was so horrible.
Although, in the last episode, there was this bit where I rolled my eyes so hard. Okay, spoilers from this moment on. So basically, the alien is now talking to the government of Japan. And he is asked, why did you choose Japan? And he mentions like, oh, Japan was the place that had a high amount of what he calls unical or something. And then they're like, oh, what's a unical? And it basically boils down to the word sympathy and heart.
No.
Seriously, the way.
No.
Seriously.
Do not know. Oh my God.
The way another character describes it says, let's say that we're all over here and we have a lot of bread, and we all eat the bread and we're all more than full. We're all very full, but we still have a lot of bread left. And somebody else comes and they're starving. What would we do? And they're like, of course we would offer them the bread. And then somebody else is like, but then lots of people wouldn't do that. And then you know,
every other country wouldn't do that, is what they're saying.
And then,
oh my God, like, I'm offended. I'm actually offended. Genuinely, like, Japan, get your head out your butt a little bit. So Jesus Christ.
So basically, that's basically what Unico is. It comes down to sympathy. And then they were like, oh, it's because this country had a lot of it.
I'm so disappointed. I would turn off the video at that point. Personally, I'd just be insulted.
And then what happens is...
Sorry if you're not from Japan. You don't... You're cold, heartless bastards, apparently. Only the true motherland of Japan has concepts of sympathy and warmth.
So then the alien offers them this thing that he calls wham, and it's basically these 2 balls. And these 2 balls, yes, there's these 2, like, they look like marbles.
Do they also give, like, a cucumber?
No.
No. Just the balls.
The 2 marble balls, yes. and basically they generate energy, and they were like, oh, so how much energy can it generate? And he says infinite, which is great,
obviously.
Yeah. So if it was just the 2 balls, then sure, like, you know, they wouldn't want to share that. But then he gets his mini cube thing to generate like dozens and dozens of them. So I'm guessing the idea is if you just need 2 to have infinite energy, you can give the rest away, and that's what he wants Japan to do.
But let me pose this as a question: if you have infinite energy, what's 6 times infinite energy going to make?
No,
infinite energy.
No, it's still infinite energy, but the thing is that every country, there's enough for you to give one to every country.
But infinite already means you have enough to give every country.
Yeah, but then
why not just connect some pipes to other countries so everyone on the planet gets your infinite electricity for power?
Because it's easier to transfer 2 balls to other countries than it is to construct power lines between countries.
But for literally infinite resource, I think the governments of the world will be like, all right, let's get some construction teams on a pipeline to Japan.
It's still the same thing. They just take 2 balls and they get the same thing.
Yeah, but my issue with it is that if it can make so many, why would they give it to just Japan? Why are they
because they have high amounts of Unico in Japan.
Yeah, it's like, why not just fly over there with their alien cube technology and just drop off a couple of balls on each continent?
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah, is the story just trying to hype up Japan as like the best country in the world? They're literally going to provide. I'm guessing
they needed a better reason than, oh, I just appeared here and it happened to be Japan, and because this is an anime is being aired in Japan. I guess they just needed a better reason than that.
My God. Oh.
But yes,
I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I'm like, yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, next.
I am also... What else am I watching? I am also watching the... So this one I'm watching because as I watch the show, I don't really feel the time pass. But then when I think about it consciously, I find myself going, why am I watching this show again?
Okay.
It's called Kabukibu. And it's the one where the high school kid... He wants to open a kabuki club, but then everybody around him is like, oh, kabuki is too serious, you can't have a club, and blah, 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 you know.
Okay.
Stuff happens. Yeah, it's a bit... Because it's basically a commercial for kabuki. To try and hype people up about kabuki, you know, a thing that's essentially dying. And yeah, it's to try and get people more knowledgeable about it and get them into kabuki.
Sounds like propaganda.
It does.
And I hate it, therefore. Okay.
So there's that.
That doesn't sound like it's up my alley, but if you're enjoying
it's fine. Not really up your alley. And then, of course...
Is it even up your alley?
Not really. Because, you know, I like character-based shows, and this seemed like it would be a character-based show. That's why I tried it. So, And then... what else am I watching? There's nothing else that really stands out that much that I'm watching.
Okay.
Yeah. Sadly.
Okay. Well.
Natsume Yujincho 6.
Oh my God.
Natsume Yujincho 6.
I've seen like 2 or 3 seasons.
You finished 3 and you left the 4th.
Yeah, it just got... It's Monster of the Week mellowed out version.
It's an episodic show. What'd you expect?
But it's like, I'm so bored of it. It's like watching the Power Rangers. It's the Monster of the Week. They got this one.
I'm still not bored. I freaking love Natsume, so...
That's good.
And my guilty pleasure of the season is Oshitsukyoshi Haine.
Oh God, is it even good?
No, no. Is
it enjoyable?
As a writer, okay. By good, do you mean does it have good writing and interesting characters?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Is it fun? Yes.
What parts of it are fun and keeping you invested? Is it funny?
I find it funny, although I don't laugh out loud ever.
That doesn't sound like it's funny. Is the art enough?
The art is very pretty.
Okay.
The art is very pretty, yes.
Is it to see what happens? Are you invested in the plot? Okay.
I know what the plot is.
Do you just want to see boy love?
Not with the underage ones, no.
Okay.
3 of them are underage, so between the off-age ones, yes.
That's the whole show then. Okay. Well, I suppose as long as you're enjoying it on some level.
I mean, at whatever point, at whatever point it gets boring, and I find myself going, ugh, this is so long, I will close the video and stop watching.
Yeah. One thing I always try to advise people is that if you feel just tired of a show, don't watch media out of a sense of like
obligation.
Yeah. Because even if you're like way into the show and it's gonna finish soon, if it's feeling like a drag, just stop. Because it just means the people haven't created it well enough
to hold your attention.
For the whole thing. They've either overbloated it by giving it like too much filler. They haven't done the pacing correctly, and if you just feel like you're not getting that much enjoyment out of it, don't force yourself. It's your time. Go watch something else. There are so many different kinds of media. There are so many manga out there, so many old anime which are good that you could be spending your time with. So if you're watching any of the new stuff and you just feel like this is a bit of a slog, just like skip that episode. See, like, if it still doesn't pick up, just end it.
I mean, an example I can give is that I recently watched this drama called Strong Woman Dobongsun, and after like the first 6 or 7 episodes, the only thing that I liked about the entire show was the main couple and their interactions and their chemistry and stuff. So I simply just started skipping through everything and only watching the scenes when they were on screen. I watched a 60-minute episode in like 20 just by watching their scenes. Because I liked them enough to want to see them. I wanted to just see them. I didn't want to see anything else. So I made the effort of watching it, but just their bits.
Yeah. Personally, I'm like much more cutthroat than that. So if it started losing me to that standard, I would just end it. Yeah. Because there's better characters out there, or other shows which do characters better or to the same standard.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is there any other shows that you're watching?
I can't remember. Oh, Alice to Zoroku. I might end up dropping that one actually. I find like, because like when I saw the name, I was like, oh, did another episode come out?
Okay, what's wrong with it? What's kind of not enabling you to enjoy it that much? What's wrong with it?
Need to have a think. Because like on paper, it sounds like it's right up my alley. It's, there's an old man and then he takes in this little girl who's run away from a research facility, and he basically teaches her how to live as a human being.
So plot-wise, you're invested.
Yeah.
You were invested.
Yeah.
What about its execution has you going, it's kind of not that exciting?
Yeah, like all the characters... Is
the pacing slow? Or
it is
it's
quite
just
slow.
Like, is per episode there's just not enough stakes or conflict involved? Because since anime is so episodic, each episode needs a strong point of conflict. It's because
it's a bit slow, and like all the characters come off as very flat. Like I'm not quite able to relate with anyone. They all have this one sort of main shtick about them, and that's all there is to them. So, for example, the old man's granddaughter, she's meant to be nice, his granddaughter and everything, and she always talks in that same kind of breezy, floaty way, and she's good at cooking. That's it. She's just nice.
Wow.
And then main girl is a kid and childish. That's it. And then the old man, he's a principled like, I like the old man at least, but then over the past 3 episodes he's barely had enough screen time, so I'm like, well, if he's one of the main characters, why does he have such little screen time? And then there seem to be multiple people with multiple agendas in mind outside as well, and it's just a bit, it just feels like a slog when I watch it. I don't feel like I'm being taken on the ride. I feel like I'm standing by the side watching the ride happening.
Okay,
if that makes sense.
Right. Maybe something to think about in future. Like, is it because the characters are too weak, unbelievable, or is just it a pacing issue? And in terms of pacing, because people say pacing, but they mean different things. Is it actually in terms of like what happens per episode? Or is it the actual kind of, for example, for textualized, some people called it slow paced, but they did things in it stylishly, intentionally to make it feel very long. For example, during sections of like when the main character felt lost, even though for maybe just a few minutes, they blurred out the sounds that the character was hearing, and then overlaid on the sound of a ticking clock, so that made it feel excruciatingly slow. So that pace there in that scene felt slow because of how they did it stylistically. In terms of the pacing you're saying, is it kind of what happens per episode, or does it feel like, or is it just like people just sitting there, not much animation physically happening? Or is it the sounds are slow, or do people just talk slower and therefore it sounds and feels more slowly paced?
Okay, so I don't think it's the pacing within each episode that's the issue. Each episode is fine. I think it's just that 3 episodes have gone by and barely anything has happened.
There's no like inciting incident, or there has been an inciting incident, or there's just not enough development.
Stuff has happened, but there has been no change in status quo. It's remained where it is. Like the amount of information I was given on the first episode is still the amount of information I have on the 3rd episode. It's like I as an audience in terms of how much I know, and like the characters in terms of what has happened to them, they essentially have remained the same.
So it just feels like no one's gotten anywhere.
Yeah.
And
and I get that, it's an anime and there's 12 episodes for things to happen, but it's like there should be at least some shift 3 episodes down the line.
You're a quarter of the way in. That is like, that's already too late.
Yeah, there should be some change.
Yeah, especially with anime, typically you need to hook people since it's episodic. With a movie, you're kind of like, you bought the tickets, you're more willing to give it a chance. You've bought the tickets, you're sat there, you've made the effort.
Yeah, so
you'll probably give it an extra 10 minutes. Like, let's see in the next 10 minutes if it will hook me or not. Yeah. Oh, there's the hook. All right, fine, I'll watch the rest of it. For an anime, it has that 30 minutes, not even 30, because the first 2 minutes are like, opening, then last 2 minutes are ending, or it might only be like 25 minutes long in total.
Yeah,
they have 20 minutes to make you, or the majority of audience, go like,
I'm watching
I'm
this.
in.
Although
there needs to be like an inciting incident, something weird, new, or creates mystery or suspense, which claws into the psyche of the viewer.
Yeah.
And if you're 3 episodes in and you still haven't done that, you failed.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the thing, many people talk like this is actually a trend in anime where people don't mention things like, "Oh, are you watching this show after the first episode?" They always say 2 episodes. or they'll say 3 episodes. I don't think that should exist as a precedence. I shouldn't need to give you 2-3 episodes. Okay, I personally give 2 episodes, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to be able to get invested after the first episode, if possible.
Yeah. I mean, there's like plot structures dedicated to making the first few minutes immediately gripping. Like one of these is called in medias res, where you literally drop the viewer into action. You literally, the beginning of the movie, it's just like someone gets shot or the main character is fighting for their life. Then you immediately start off with something which is gripping. Then you already got them invested. You've sunk your claws into them, into your viewer.
So it's okay to slow down and go back.
Then you slow down, then you do the introduction, you do the exposition, and then you ramp it back up for the big climax. And then you can then finish it off in like the normal way that you've done, like in other shows. But it's just such a thing where if you don't manage to get the attention of the audience within 20 minutes, then it's just kind of like a lot of people are just not going to keep on with the anime.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go for the, try out 2 episodes route. Many people go for the first episode. I know a few people who have dropped shows within the first 3 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just so unbearable. That it's
I used to be Die Hard will definitely give you 2 episodes chance.
I used to give animes 4 episodes. That is 2 hours of time. That's a whole movie.
Yeah.
And now it's just especially with full-time jobs.
With full-time jobs. And wanting to do other things.
It is just not acceptable.
Yeah.
If you can't get me within the episode, you get 1 from me.
Then I've dropped things within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I've just gone way down the other end, but I'm if I see one thing that's a deal breaker, I'm nope, F this, go away.
Pretty much.
I have people telling me, oh, don't let this put you off, give it another time. Nope. I absolutely hate seeing this, and it was in the first 5 minutes that I saw it. This thing is gone out of my life.
Yeah, because even if you love a show, even if you read the manga or something, if the show's not doing it justice in episode 1,
that's the show's fault. That doesn't mean I'm gonna give it a chance just because it has a following elsewhere.
Exactly. If you can't get the attention of the audience that within 20 minutes, you've done something wrong. And with shows coming out with literally 20 shows come out each season.
It's closer to something around
it's
40.
It's 40 series
per season.
Every 12 weeks, right?
Yeah.
40. That's incredible. If one of them just can't do it,
there's loads of other ones for you to go watch.
There's so many others. It just be cutthroat, because your time is worth more than the time you're going to invest trying to find a way to enjoy it.
Trying to find a show, trying to find a way to enjoy a show that didn't put enough thought in to try and make you enjoy the show.
Yeah. And, yeah.
You shouldn't have to try to enjoy a show. You should just enjoy it.
Yeah. If it hasn't hooked you, it hasn't hooked you. Just let it go. As Disney, Elsa says, right?
As Disney has been saying so much since Elsa came out.
Yes. Are there any other animes that you're actually following?
Nope. That was it.
That was it?
That was it.
Oh my goodness.
The amount of shows I follow has...
So that's a total of 5?
Is it?
5 shows,
4?
is that?
I think 5. That's 5.
I think that's 5.
That's 5.
Out of 40.
Out of 40,
yeah.
Yes.
I used to watch...
And one of them's a guilty pleasure of all things, so... Ideally, I really shouldn't be counting that, so it's 4.
So yeah, in terms of anything else we need to or want to cover in this week's podcast,
I've got nothing more. You know, it's been 2 hours again. After we said we'd cut down, we went back to 2 hours.
We're so bad at this. There's too much to talk about. Yeah, and we covered like a lot of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, finally started giving you guys something a bit more concrete about Flare Project.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, really exciting. I'm really excited to keep working on it, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we'll be giving out some more information about Flare Project as we go on.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got to wrap up?
Yep. Alright, guys, that's it for today. We will see you again next week. Keep an eye out for part 2 of the World blog post next Saturday. And
thank you for all the support so far. We know we have a couple of people supporting us. Some of them are friends and family. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next time. Next Sunday.
Yeah.
Next Sunday.
For now, it is bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.